Alright, hello everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is the high probability watch list for basically the first week of April. April 1st coming up on Tuesday. I mean, it's going to start off on the 31st. It'll be the last trading day of March. So, you know what? There's always an interesting scenario that plays out the last day of the month. Usually the last day of the quarter we have that window dressing. And you could see a little more interesting action on the last day, the day before the last day. We did see some interesting action today. I like to always start off just taking a look at the overall markets. And when I take a look at the overall markets, pretty much stick to the S&P 500. Give us a good outlook of some quality names. And you can see the overall patterns. You know, the channel is intact. We've been making some good pullbacks, and each pullback has been standard, really a standard pullback that I consider a very healthy pullback. You can see some of the flags and the patterns that played out, and then the pops and stuff from those levels. Each level that got oversold moved back up into an overbought level, and we continue to rotate and move up. And this seems like another scenario that's playing out. So I'm not really that concerned yet. You're always thinking about what's the worst case scenario out there in the market, especially coming up to a weekend. We still have that Ukraine crisis, if you want to call it a crisis, but a situation that seems to be overhanging the market. And again, we know that the market tends to, have those areas of, when it's unsure of the outcome of what's going on. That's when it usually gets a little scared. We see the volatility come back in the market, and we see some selling. And I think the last couple of days there was still some of the this kind of uneasiness about Russian troops on the border of the Ukraine that actually helped facilitate the selling that happened over the last couple of days. But everything really just kind of, if we look at the bigger picture, just a pullback, a very standardized pullback. The daily is actually getting very close to being oversold, and we're holding above we're right on that 20-period moving average. We're right above the 50-period moving average, way above the 200. There's nothing out here that's really that disturbing. All right, so I mean, take a look at the 60-minute chart. The 60-minute is even better because it's given us some really cool 60-minute time frames. Each time the 60-minute comes up to play, I make sure I point it out to you. I point this out to you, and actually today we actually pointed out this overhanging trend line that we were approaching, and the stochastics here making a series of lower lows. So we sent down an early or a midday chart talking about this pattern, and we're approaching this trend line, and we're getting a little overbought on this, and there's a potential of us pulling back and this coiling up and this channel playing out, and that's okay. I mean, we could definitely pull back to the lower trend line. We could break down a little bit further. We're still in a larger channel. But this channel overall, I think in the medium term outlook is kind of bullish. So this is a weekend. If any news comes out, it might be affected. It might affect the market. If it's positive, it might affect the market to the upside. The 60-minute chart here kind of crossing over. If we can cross back up and we see some positive action out of this to the upside, then this is going to be another nice flag and most likely a push to new highs. So going back to this, so as we know, when I trade, I'm using, if we look at patterns like this, we look at stocks and we look at the overall markets like this, we know that we're looking for certain indications of important levels. Is this level the only pullback we're going to get before a breakout, or do we see a double bottom here? Do we see a lower trend line? These are the levels that we want to concentrate on. We normally mark them off. I mark them off for, and we take bigger positions into them. And when the market seems a little unsteady or maybe not in the right position, you have to have a little patience or a little scale back a little. And that's the game. It's just like anything else. You have to determine your risk. If it's sunny out, then go out and have a good time. But if it's over cloudy, be careful. Bring a own, whatever analogy you want to use. I'm still a little concerned about the news that possibly could break out in the Ukraine. It seems to be, just holding this market back. But you got to always go back to the original concept is just taking advantage of the market situations. Over time, you don't usually see these big pullbacks, and when you do, you have to have that wind in your sail. Right now, the wind in the sail on the hourly, we are starting to pull back. So when asked today in the room, I said, well, what do I think? Well, I think the market's acting pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised to see a pullback because I wouldn't be surprised to see a lift up off of this level, and we lifted up. We didn't get back up to an overbought level, but we did make a series of lower highs on the stochastics, and that's something that typically means there's more downtrend. So, and it's very close. And these things, you take it with a grain of salt. You try to wait for the best opportunities, the convergence of indicators, convergence of trend lines, and stuff. So right now we're kind of in a neutral position. I like the overall pattern for a longer term trade, but it looks like short term we definitely could pull back some more. So now that it brings us into the HPS watch list. Now I have a lot of great stocks today. I started off the day having a little computer issues, so I didn't get to trade as much as I want to. But I did take a couple of good positions today, and I took a couple things off, and we are now setting up on some great charts I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to start off with just going through some really key charts. Some of these are going to be great stocks that are not going to be pure HPS setups, but I'm just going to point them out to you because there's so many of them, and it's just, I found out with the HPS setups, there's a lot of great setups on that haven't triggered, and they're carrying over to this week, and that's fine because the market is continuing to give us this opportunity. We're starting to see some pullbacks. So we want to do a fast little review of what's been working, what sectors are rotating, and basically what flags and channels are setting up that are not HPS, and then we're going to go over the HPS setups. All right. So let's start off now. And again, the HPS setups are the pure HPS, multiple indicator setups, and those are just textbook setups. And I'd want those, want to take each one of those trades as they come into our zones, and we get alerted to them on the emails, and we get alerted in the trade alert boxes and stuff. So as they line up, look for me to take those. And these new stocks that we're going to see today are kind of, I guess we could qualify them very close to HPS setups. Some of them are, but I have so many on the list right now. I just want to kind of go over these and let you take your own notes on these. When I say take your own notes, you should always have a, pen and pencil here. You're going to know which ones work. When we got into stocks, even the Win today, let's start off talking about Win. Win was a great setup as a coil stochastic, but we had some bad, we had some market flushage. We'll call it flushage, if I could call that, to make a new word up. And we broke down, and sometimes we do see a channel breakdown. And it's a tough thing to deal with because you normally have your strict rules of, but during your career of trading, you'll also see, you could adjust those rules saying, all right, I've seen patterns like this, and every so often, because of outside news and stuff, you will get a little flush, but lots of times you'll break right back into that channel and then continue to push higher. And I usually call that the fake out breakout. And the situation like Wind, I felt like we took a lot of the pressure, a lot of the pullback came into this. It was just a nice steady pullback, and we took that position right into that trend line. It flushed that. But when it flushed that, again, I went back into the history of what I usually, like to look at, and it wasn't totally, we were oversold on the 60, we were oversold on the daily, and I knew that the setup was there. So when we had that gap down, I wasn't so, I wanted to give it a little time, and we were going to look for that reversal to play out. And we actually started seeing that reversal play out. So by the end of the day, we started reversal, and today we got that follow through. We're actually up almost 2 points on this trade, and then at the end of the day, gave back a little. We're pretty much flat on it, but we're back inside the channel. The one thing interesting here was oversold, and now we're overbought. So, it's just a matter of, picking your spots in the market. Every so often you'll get that breakdown, but if the criteria is still there, and the quality is still there, sometimes you just have to kind of hold on a little bit longer just to see if it works out. And I usually put a time frame on that. Like I said, on the Win trade, I wanted to see if we get that reversal. We hold those lows going into 10 o'clock, really the first hour of the trade, and we ended up holding those lows. At the end of the day, we started ramping back up, and today it was off to the races. But the 60-minute chart here, extended. We'll see what happens on Monday. I would like to get out of this and just kind of move on because it was a hectic ride from here to here. Didn't have many shares, so it was easier to hold on to this instead of being overboard on, feeling overwhelmed on a thing. But right now, Win continues to look good. And these are the patterns we'll continue to key off on. It's just that some of them, every so often, will break down. COG here, a couple of the stocks from the other day, these are just quality HPS setups. This one was a double bottom, and then we waited for that. We caught it yesterday, picked it up right in the morning, and boom, it ran up, and we took profits in it. And today we got a follow through on it, and it continues to look good. And this was not even paying attention to this trend line. It was really this double bottom right here we were paying attention to. This was a key level, the double bottom. Bring this right over here. This is what we were looking for, this reversal candle. I waited a day, got in it, saw a relative strength, and then it ripped. And I think a lot of people made some money on that, so I'm very happy about that. KMI. How do you not, here's another situation. If it comes down into on your strike zone, you got to swing. Sometimes you're going to miss it. Sometimes you're going to strike out. Sometimes you're going to foul out. But in most cases, you're going to make contact. You're going to get a shot at scoring some runs here. And that's of course, my baseball analogy. Because this is the same thing that we were looking at on win. And it's like, you know what? You either step up or you sit back down. The 60-minute chart here was set up here. But let's go back here to KMI. What's the difference between that and that? Well, the 60-minute chart and the daily chart. The daily chart is always a more powerful chart. I always love this situation on the daily. KMI, this was a stock that really, I've never really dealt with before, but, seeing the 1, 2, 3 pattern, the 4, the 5, and coming back down a channel within a channel and a support line, a double bottom, and a core stochastic, I had to take that, from that point on, boom, we got a profit on it, we took it off, and we walked away. All right, we walked away. Now, there's a lot of stocks that we didn't get into this week, and I'm going to show you some of them, like the McDonald's, which I've been tracking. How easy is this to track? I mean, this stock is just like, it's the sun comes up at 7:43 in the a.m. and it sets at 5:15. It has a schedule to it. It's very easy to identify the channels here in McDonald's, and downward channel, upward channel, oversold, overbought. Right now we just getting a little oversold and popping out of here. This spot had been a very choppy and very boring stock for most people, but the truth is it's very organized, and it seems like it's just doing what we look for: recognizable channels, channel breakout, rotation back down, cross back up, new channels developing. But not really into it. But I wanted to bring it to your attention. Kellogg. I want to bring this to your attention. The 1, 2, 3 pattern. We've traded this one off of this level. Again, beautiful level. I haven't been in it since, and we're kind of pushing up. You can see the little, what we call a divergence here. Stochastics normally move here. The momentum here moves, and the price usually moves with it. If your momentum here, the selling momentum, and kind of picking up here to the downside, yet the price is going sideways. So this is just kind of jumping out at me, saying we have a price stochastic divergence. We're starting to move up. Stochastic's moving down. We're going to break higher here. Momentum's going to pop, and it looks like Kellogg there's a good shot that we could push higher. All right, so I just want to push that one to you. Tesla, TSLA here. I love recognizing good channels and good levels. The combination of the stochastic channel line, recognizable pattern, and 50 period moving average, all lining up on Tesla. The negatives, what? There's a lot of, Tesla. It's kind of a very, momentum type of stock. It is holding this underlying trend line. It was oversold. We got overbought now. Just remember, we're overbought on the 60. That's a very powerful thing. We got overbought here, turned back and moved down. Got overbought here, drifted down. Got overbought here, or overbought there, got drifted down. Now we're overbought. Good shot that we actually pulled down on Tesla. Just again, an update on that. SLCA. I actually have some Silica holdings. And it's a great company. I did a beautiful write-up on this a long time ago and said this is one of my favorite picks of the year. And it's consolidating at the highs. We're also actually starting to show a divergence here. Sideways consolidation, a little pullback in the stochastics. And right at the highs. So probably expect this one here to pop into next week. And I wouldn't mind taking profits on this and just moving on. So SLCA here, looking for that pop. GCI. This one brought into the room by a member. I don't have the name. Don't forget to use the chart bounty. Make sure you remember to use the chart bounty. The chart bounty for Day Trading Radio members means if you bring me an HPS setup that you post in the chart bounty site, you could go to the chat room, type in chart, type in on the chat bot for chart bounty, or ask Paul, or ask Brian, or ask me, or ask anybody. They'll post it. Type in your stock. Tell me that's there. Let me look at it. If I love it and get in it, I'm giving you 30% of my profits. 30%. So, you know, this is a great setup. You know, just make sure you post this GCI in the in the chart bounty. And the reason is there's so many stocks that we look at each time. It's important to keep track of who or what brings an idea to it, because research is valuable. Research is valuable to me, and if I miss something and I can make money on it, then I'm fine with giving you 30%. You know, that's not an issue. The same thing, you know, that's how Day Trading Radio runs. I do a lot of research and send these things out to you, and the members pay a little fee for that. But it cuts back. You're not getting crap. You're not getting penny junk. You know, you're getting opportunities here in the market. If you're going to make money and it saves you time and saves you money, then it's worth, you know, most people paying $1 a day for all this time. You know, the 10 hours a day that we spend here analyzing the market. $1 a day, most people. We did raise it though, but now it's what, $1.50 a day. But if we want the quality names, you know, you want these setups here, you want this video. Well, you want the next part of the video. The next part of the video is really the quality HPS setups that go to the members. I'm doing this kind of another freebie here and showing you the type of quality stocks that you're going to see here at Day Trading Radio. But again, you know, kind of maybe in a good little section here. Gannett, you know, they do our newspaper, the Journal News, Rockland County Journal News, Gannett. And again, oversold. Looks like a great setup. 200 period moving average underneath us. In some cases, you might look at this as what we call a slanted head and shoulders pattern. But of course, when you look at a slanted head and shoulders patterns, a lot of people get short here thinking it's going to break down when the stochastics are in an area where we're about to bounce. And they like, wow, this is a head and shoulders. It should be breaking down. No, you know, everything else is telling us it's a support line. It's, you know, we already pulled back off the 20 and the 50. There's a good shot we're going to actually bounce before we break back down. And that's the trade we concentrate on. Anyway, put it down in your notes. And now there's other stocks here we just want to run through. I wanted to show you, we talk about falling wedges a lot. Here was a great example of a rising wedge on Monsanto. You can see the coil stochastic heading up, and we talk about that coil, that higher high and higher low. But we all come, you know, and then you're looking for that wedge pattern or upside pattern that's either a channel, a tight channel in a wedge, or almost a wedge pattern. And when it gets overbought, you look for that rollover. Now this, when you have an established upper trend line, you have a wedge. Normally, what you do is you just you make a parallel line, you drag that down to that low pivot, and you'll probably end up watching that this area becomes the channel where you're going to get that pullback to, and you're going to get that bounce. Now we bounced a little above that, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So that's where a channel and a wedge plays out. More about that on some of the videos on the site. RS, Reliance Steel. Someone brought this up to my attention. I just wanted to point it out. You know, again, classic 1, 2, 3 pattern. 3 good pivots. You trade 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter where this trend line is. It doesn't matter that 4 could be here or 4 could be here. It's just the next test of the trend line is that you trade. That's the high probability setup on a 1, 2, 3 pattern. All right. So here you pushed up against here, and again the combination has to be the touch of that trend line should correspond with an overbought level. And once those two line up, you have really 3 indicators lining up. The 3 indicators: the overbought stochastics, the trend line or channel line. But this, because a trend line and channel line, well, we're going to call it a trend line. 2 points make a line. Because a trend line is not necessarily a pattern, we use the 1, 2, 3 method to say, all right, this is this is going to be a channel. In this case, it's not a recognizable channel yet, you know, because it hasn't, you know, put another 4th pivot area down here. So, you know, in reality, you're getting that 1-2 combination, which is a good one, and you can see it actually worked off good. RS on that one. We're going to just go through some of these. Also take a look at some of the stocks we've traded this week. Now, not every stock is going to be a winner, you know. Costco, I took this one off for a loss this week, and it was basically a very choppy session, and you might consider this a head and shoulders pattern, and I might just be out of here and not looking at the underlying trend line here. It just was a little, choppy for me. I took it off. I just ended up taking that off, so I'm going to wait for it to set back up. But you can see we're starting to set up in a 60-minute channel, and that 60-minute channel might come out and work out better. As you can see, that 60-minute channel and the underlying trend line here comes into that 110 to 111 area. So watch this level for a nice bounce. We're oversold on the daily, the hourly, and we're oversold on the daily. So I would say there's a great possibility, and there's an underlying neckline here. So this whole 110 to, this area right here represents X marks the spot. Everything lining up. It was just, I think I had a little too much on. I just took some things off to clear out a little and get ready for some new positions. So the Costco I still think is good. It's just that it just wasn't good enough for me. Now, God, I have a lot of other ones here. Let's take a look at some of the other stocks here. HLF. Oh, Herbalife. Herbalife we took off today. And again, why Herbalife? Well, 1, 2, 3 pattern. 1, 2, 3, trade 4, trade 5. Well, I always trade 4, First breakdown, or in this case, a breakdown under the 200 period moving average that comes down to a 1, 2, 3 pattern is an HPS playbook play. It's called a 200 EMA breakdown to channel line bounce. Here was one, but this really came into play once we start to recognize the stock is coming down here. The thing is, on the HPS setups, here was a 1, 2, 3 pattern actually here of 4, 5. Once you start to see that setup playing out, you have that 1, 2, 3 pattern. All you have to do is trend line here and put an alert down here, and when that price comes down there, you're alerted to it. So we alerted to you, Herbalife, took that trade, pulled out a nice $140 out of it, just 1, 2, 3, and it was a nice little trade, and still looks quite good. Still looks quite good, Herbalife. Lululemon, this was, we've been keying in on this one all this past week, and again, nice downward channel, nice upward channel. Just paying attention to the channel lines in the 60-minute stochastic. The 60-minute stochastic here, a little more difficult than the daily, but man, did it work out good. We got a nice pop up here. We took profits, chopped around. It still could move a little higher. This was an earnings play. I felt very comfortable as an earnings play into this one. But again, past trade. Wait for the next one. Rig. Take a look at this. How often do you see me get in rig? But when I see a recognizable pattern, you have a nice little channel, and you have a really great support line that goes back out to 2012, June 2012. We came down here. So at that point, I knew we got into it right around here. Oversold stochastic, support line, recognizable channel. Everything pointed to an upside push. And it still looks good, even though we did take profits on it. The daily here still looks good, and this could actually have one of the bigger rallies back in it. So rig actually still looks good. All right, we can continue down the line of what we've been trading lately. Celogene, picking it up off the 1, 2, 3, get an initial bounce, sold it fast. It's coming back into play. It definitely is. So I actually want to watch this one for next week. I think that the weakness that we saw off of this, we got that bounce down and pushed back up to the 200, now bounce down. I'm going to kind of hold off on this until I see some kind of reversal, another reversal candle play out. When I see a stock that breaks down to the 20, we get down to a 1, 2, 3 pattern, we get a nice bounce. And what did we get on that? We held it for a day. Got it from we bought it at 141 and sold at 146. All right, 141. We sold at 146. So we nailed it, and we probably nailed it on the 60-minute chart. And that's how we used the timing here. Got in somewhere around here, got out here as it got overbought, and we just took it off, and it pulled back, and it worked out fine. Now it's starting to pull back down. So what do we say? Do we just do it all over again? Well, I'd rather feel a little more comfortable on that and look for a reversal candle on this. So the next reversal candle, be it any type of good hammer, outside day, piercing pattern, even a 180 reversal, something out there that kind of lends me to believe there's a little shift in momentum, I will take this again. All right, so that's what we're looking for in that one. I know a lot of people were looking at us in the Gilead, which had an X marks the spot here. Now we're coming back down. Same situation. Reversal candle on Gilead would be a great setup on that. That's probably an HPS, and I'm probably going into a little too much here. We took Celogene, Johnson & Johnson, Boeing. Normally, that's about it. You know what? I got so many good stuff here. I'm going to save it for the members. I'm going to cut this video short here, and we're going to get to the HPS setup. And again, just like using this as a little, I gave you some great setups for this week already. I always feel like I want to give you something special, the HPS or the the kick-ass trade of the week. So let's throw out a kick-ass trade of the week, something I feel that is, will make you enough money to enjoy a nice dinner. All right, one of the best bets. I want to say the real good one, but probably the second or third best bet. I have 3 best bets for this week. I want to call this either the second or third. Probably the second best bet of the week here, Visa going in. What we do have here, again, oversold daily. All right, quality name. We have a good underlying trend line. And we have a support line that we just bounced off, and we came down to it. We kind of closed right on it. We have that underlying trend line. We kind of closed right on it. We have a 1-2-3 pattern that brings us down to a level down here, which we represent 206 to 205. That's about 6 to 5 points below us, instead of 5 to 6, 6 to 5. And but are we going to get down to that? Normally in this type of pattern, a 1-2-3 pattern, or what we call a flag, a beginning of a flag, lots of times that double bottom will represent, on a very quality name, a good position here. So as we look for a timing position, we're looking at hourly, and you can see the hourly 60-minute chart has pulled back into an oversold level again, and we've been chopping around here. So here's a bigger picture of it. There's that level down here in that 206 to 205 zone. But the underlying cross here of the upward trend line and the support line right here, which probably pulled down a little right there, kind of closed right on it, and we'll probably, depending on what kind of news comes out over the weekend, probably could look for this to hold up and maybe make a nice little bounce back up. We had an area that we broke down, which represented by about 218 here. So it's a nice bounce. So that's a good setup here. Multiple time frames, which is one thing that we want to key in on, even all the way down to the 15-minute chart. And that's it. But I have such a better one that we'll get on the other watch list. So that's it. You can tune in Monday, 8:30, 8 o'clock. I'll be live on the air at DayTradingRadio.com. You'll see the charts. You'll see the trades. You'll see everything that goes along with it, with some great music. I'll talk to you then. I hope you enjoyed this little video. And stay tuned if you're a member, because you'll follow up with the watch list for this week.